Margot, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
So, for our viewers, Margot is one of the leading TikTok mortgage influencers and creates a lot of really fun content. Again, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you. It's an honor.
I wanted to ask you, I mean, you have over 300,000 followers on TikTok and over 4.5 million likes. You get a lot of viewership. Is that what made you start doing that?
So, what made me start was really just in the beginning of the pandemic in March. I kind of lost all my business. I really specialize in the non-traditional mortgages. And a lot of those private lenders had to kind of close their doors temporarily for 3 months, 6 months, some of them. And so, being that I was someone that was specializing with foreigners that couldn't get into the country, with private lenders that had their door closed, I was like, oh my God, I have no budget for marketing. My pipeline is dry. I need to figure out a way to get exposure. And TikTok was like an accident. It was something that I was like, right before all the lockdowns started, I was on a ski snowboard trip with my brother and family. And he showed it to me. I was like, oh, like it's snowing. Like we have nothing to do. Like, look at this app. It's really funny. I went viral. We could probably go viral. And then just like, as I was studying it and stumbling upon other educational creators, I was like, there's a very, very, like little amount of educational creators and a massive need for mortgage home buying content. And the content that I was used to seeing prior to TikTok was just so boring. Like I was used to getting things by email. It was just like lenders calling me, hey, I got a new program. I was like, oh my God, like it's not fun to consume. It must not be fun for young people to want to join the industry. So I started to create content, and that was kind of how it just like naturally shifted. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I have done a lot of work in educational content around home buying and personal finance, and it is absolutely a big place of need. So,
Yeah.
um, what
Plus,
makes you,
school,
what was that?
we don't get taught any of this in school.
No,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's such a huge need, and then the content is really difficult to consume, especially for a younger generation.
Yeah.
What makes you really passionate about the subject to begin with?
So for me, the mortgage and real estate industry was something that I had always seen my parents be around. My father is a mortgage broker and real estate broker, and I was always like turned off by the idea again because no one was making it like fun. And I was in the fashion industry, and it was just kind of like I was getting tired of like working so hard and not being able to achieve financial freedom. I was seeing clients walking into the stores like decked out and just like living their best life. And I was like, when will that be me? Because no matter how many hours, no matter how high I climbed this ladder, like I'm not going to get there. I didn't feel like I did. And what was passionate for me was like sales and knowing how to interpret a product and sell that my way. So when I started to join the industry, at first you make that decision. You're like, do I do real estate or do I do mortgage? And I just found that there was a bigger demand. I felt like if I went into the mortgage side, I could be more of a benefit to real estate agents and to home buyers because I just found that the mortgage product was something that was just so valuable and was something that was going to be, I felt like easy to sell. I was like, everyone needs a mortgage. It must be hard to sell a house if you don't have the money to buy the house, but everyone needs the money, you know? So then I just kind of put my spin on it because, like I said, like I just found that there was just so much space for me to kind of be creative with this. And I just saw so much room and potential for growth in
Yeah.
the industry. That's really what made me passionate about the mortgage industry and like getting more young people to feel more relatable to being able to buy a home and feeling like it's not scary to talk about mortgages and finance. It really was passionate to me when I was like, we have a serious situation on our hands here.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. My dad was also a broker growing up, and but I was not planning to get in the industry at all.
Yeah.
And I was a social worker working primarily in immigrant communities and doing a lot of education, and realized that there was this huge need for personal finance education.
Mhm.
And then as I was kind of getting into that, I realized everyone in my generation also needed personal finance education because,
Right.
like you said, we didn't get that growing up. But there is this huge communication gap where it's just like unrelatable, difficult to understand, out of touch. And
Yeah.
you're now making that very accessible to a huge amount of people, which is really exciting.
Yeah. I'm happy that I'm able to do that.
So, you being very in touch with this audience, and having a big following, I would like to know what some of the fears are that you hear in from your audience, or the questions that come up, or if there's any myths that you feel like you are constantly kind of working to dispel around mortgage or personal finance.
So again, because I really specialize in that non-traditional space, as you can imagine, I saw, wow, people really don't understand finance and less mortgages and even less about home buying. So even less when it comes to non-traditional. And so really like my job was to help the young entrepreneurs, the self-employed individuals, and people understand that maybe you did too many deductions on your tax returns, but there are other ways to qualify for mortgages. So for me, it was really just like, how do I make that accessible, and how do I teach people that there are just many other options? Don't feel like it's the end of the world if you get denied one time. And so that was for me like my key, my spark to be like, well, that's how I'm going to be different. Because if it all comes down to like, well, I can also help a first time home buyer and I also do the FHA, well, then I felt like we all were going to be advertising the same products all across the board, and then it was just going to be like, well, who has the lower rate? So for me it was like, let me show you all of the different options, let me show you all of the different programs, and not to be afraid, to just try, just see what you're approved for and see what option is best for you.
Yeah. You are a perfect example of someone who is looking for, or like finding that niche in the market and filling that space. And I think with your unique voice, that's what makes this so powerful, because people enjoy seeing that authenticity in you. Um, so I think, one of my questions, I didn't plan on asking this, but as in thinking about bringing more people into the industry, do you have thoughts on how we make this more approachable as a career option?
You know what? It's literally the question that I ask myself every day. Um, and and so just because I've been like paying attention to the trends of what's going on social media, for me, and maybe this sounds silly, but for me, it's just like maybe vlogging. And so I just recently hopped onto the long form content, and I just started a YouTube channel very recently, and I started to vlog what a realistic week in my life looked like, what a closing looked like, for very complicated transactions. And although it's my smallest community at this moment, it seems to be where you're able to make the largest impact in terms of having someone, whether it's a large or even a small audience, fully understand what it's like to be a mortgage broker, and to have them be like, maybe I can try that too, because I still feel like what we do every single day is different. And so if it's like, and I get the question all the time, what do you do as a mortgage broker? How do I be a mortgage broker? And it's like, you just have to, and I say this, it's like my motto, I'm like, it's not a job, it is a lifestyle. And so that's why for me, I'm like vlogging and really letting people into your life and showing that relatability and what every day looks like, the ups, the downs, the middle parts, like whatever you do to make it different. I just feel like that may really be the key to let other people in and to make them feel like relatable, because all the other sources of media that we can kind of communicate how we do what it's like to be a mortgage broker, it's very difficult and it may seem very mundane and boring.
Mm-hmm.
So it may sound silly, but I think vlogging is the answer.
I love that. Yeah, no. And I think, Actually we did a report in 2021 of next gen homebuyers, and 74% said that YouTube was their primary source for personal finance education.
Yeah.
And I would assume that would probably be the case about all kinds of education. And your advice, I think, in general, would apply to a lot of different professions. It's just like the way we consume information now is more in that kind of space, in the long form video. And I think that does create a more intimate, kind of approachable format for relating to people.
Yeah. And the great thing about just like the vlogging format is that me personally, because I'm so new to the content like game, I really started with short form until I felt comfortable enough to dive into long form. And a lot of people, including me, love to consume short vlogs, 1 minute, 3 minute, and still showing what a day looks like, what a week looks like. A lot of my friends that are in the industry do that. And I think those are really great because, like I said, every day looks different. And you can't be fake. You can't show them like the good parts, you know what I mean? And just highlights. Like you gotta show it everything. So yes, vlogging. Welcome to the future.
Yes, definitely. Well, my last question for you is, what do you think industry professionals or leaders should know about our generation or think about in better reaching them?
I think that the next gen home buyers really want to know exactly who they're doing business with. So I think people need to kind of like deconstruct this whole like social media. Like, I don't want to be posting photos and be influencery and cringy. Oh, that word. I hate the word cringy. Like, we need to let go of those things. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a lifestyle. You know what I mean? And people, like I said, people really want to see what your life is like. Do they trust you with normally their biggest financial asset that they get themselves involved with, home buying, whether you're a realtor, a mortgage broker? I mean, it's also a really great way to keep your community informed about what, exactly what kind of products you do that's different than the rest. For me, social media is like something that I've just started in the last like 2 years. But I've been licensed in the mortgage industry for over 5 years. And the company that I'm with has been licensed for 30 years. And I can tell you the immediate impact of what social media has done for my business. And I say this to my new agents I join all the time. If you don't get on board and, get the market share of the hashtags, like these days when people want to look up something, they just go on social media. They're going to type in mortgage, home buying. Many people have told me I typed in the word mortgage and you were number 4 that popped up. So it's like, if you don't, it's becoming more important than Google, so it's extremely important. And the amount of organic leads that come to you, like I say, like in your sleep, you wake up and you can kind of be like, wow, okay, I don't have to do cold calls. I don't have to do the traditional stuff. I just be myself and I wake up to people wanting to work with me because they want to work with me. So I can't stress it enough. It's extremely important to join it and to just live your life authentically and not have to like worry about what other people think and the cringiness and all of that. Like, no.
Well, I love that message of living your life authentically and that, coming through in all areas of your business. So,
yeah.
Well, how can people follow you? You're at The Real Queen Margot on TikTok, right?
Yes, at The Real Queen Margot, TikTok and Instagram, and on YouTube as well at The Real Queen Margot. Basically, Perfect. Anywhere that you consume social media, you can probably find me there at The Real Queen Margot.
Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much again for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.